Greetings, dear Stalkers, and welcome back to the Grymm Mansion. I am your host with the most, Weird Aldrich, and I am joined tonight by my dear friend.
Abominathan, you're a offshoot rotten scientist.
Tonight, we have the pleasure of bringing you something different. While it is a horror movie, it is not the ones we are accustomed to, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would barely classify this as a horror movie, to be honest. It's more like a thriller, mystery
Yeah.
thriller, sci-fi, that kind of thing. But it
I was
fits.
thrilled.
It's technically a horror movie because it has jump scares, but we'll talk about that later.
Right. So, without further ado,
Nope. The candles have been lit, the circles have been closed, and the words of power have been recited. Let us begin tonight's gathering. So tonight, we have Nope. Another one for the Jordan Peele bucket, if we could call it that. This guy honestly has been let's just say he showed up out of nowhere. Pretty much, I mean, he was a comedian, but like nobody was expecting this guy to make horror, at least like this.
we weren't. And yeah, I can only agree with you 100%. I think he's great.
Yeah. It's just dropping bangers essentially.
Mm-hmm. There is other movies that we would like to discuss that we will probably get to at a later time. Why this one?
Possibly because it's the one that's most recent in memory. I mean, we did watch it recently. It's from last year, and
Not like the pandemic affected us in any way, shape, or form.
indeed. So yeah, it is a very, as usual. Like I did not watch I've not yet watched the first, Get Out. But you and I, we watched Us, and then Nope. And Us will require a more in-depth review from us in the future. From us.
Unintended.
But Nope is different. As I said, Nope is like very much thriller mystery, and it's really weird. In my opinion, it's the weirdest of them all of Jordan Peele's movies so far.
Yeah.
I think I know the spoiler of Get Out. I think I know the premise,
twist.
the twist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like all of Jordan Peele's movies, you can tell it's a Jordan Peele movie because it mentions it has black people as main protagonists. It has some kind of aspects of racism that it talks about, and then it's weird as. Those are basically
You could almost call it like a sort of auteur movie in a way, because his movies do carry his signature. I feel like we could watch it without knowing that Nope was a Jordan Peele movie, and we would know that it's a Jordan Peele movie. Know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But anyway, without further ado, I think we should just go.
Yes, this is not about the other Jordan Peele movies. This is our episode on Nope. So let's get to it.
So the movie begins with a recording of a live show, I believe.
It is a sitcom.
Yes, it's a sitcom about where there's basically this monkey character.
It's a family that owns a pet chimp.
Yes, his name is Gordy, Gordy the chimp, and we do not hear the entire thing in the beginning, but they're just talking about like presents, like they're giving presents to the chimp, to Gordy, and then something happens, and the
We hear a loud pop.
yeah, and the recording cuts, and then we hear like this kind of muffled scream from nowhere, and we already get some weirdness going on. Like strangeness begins almost immediately with this movie.
There's also the biblical quote
Oh yeah.
about it is from Nahum 3:6. And I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and make thee vile, and I will set thee for spectacle. This is not exactly as it is in the movie. This is very important. This scene is essentially establishing a sort of framing device in this movie. It is something very recurring about it. The movie does this a lot. It presents you it presents you with information that will later pick on in more depth.
Yeah, no, the movie sets up a lot of things and then does pick most of them later. There are some red herrings which we'll talk about later, but that's
Mhm.
beside the point. Anyway, so yeah, there's this weird scene in the beginning, not a lot of explanation. Then we cut to, I believe, the ranch with OJ and Pops. OJ being our main character, protagonist. And there's a very interesting quote, which is foreshadowing, in which Pops says, "Keep our heads up on the clouds," which I find just it's a nice touch. It's a nice touch for what's coming.
Humorous.
Yeah, they're having a conversation. He asks OJ to go get his sister, and while OJ is walking away from the horses, he starts hearing things falling. And by the way, it's clear skies. It's in the middle of the day. Things just start falling, and he looks
It
back.
is a distinct metal clanking.
Yes, and he looks back and he sees his father just
Falling off the horse.
yeah. He goes takes his Pops to the hospital. He's bleeding, and we see him in the hospital bed,
At
dead.
this moment, yeah, more at the morgue. There is a wound in his eye. We see clearly. The camera zooms in and makes this shot of him dead. And then it cuts to an X-ray of what essentially happened to him. As it appears that a coin fell off the sky and through his eye lodged itself inside of this man's brain.
Must have been a painful death.
But it is one of those things that it is almost as being struck by lightning. It is probably something so rare that you could consider them almost miraculous, wouldn't you say?
Yes, I would say it's one of those. I mean, when you do live for a longer amount of time, you do see eventually things that happen. Very rare, like for example, being struck by lightning twice in your lifetime,
Or three times.
or three or four. Yes, but yeah, it's not so much that it's unlikely. It's just the entire thing, like what exactly happened? Where are these objects coming from? So it's that factor plus the factor that it hit right him in the eye as he was looking up. And those two things, yes, they're extremely unlikely, and it does feel like some kind of divine. It almost feels like this fate, this irony of fate, this doom.
So then we cut 6 months into the future, and it appears that OJ is now in charge of the family's business with the horses and all. And in the previous scene, they were setting up some sort of contract in Hollywood, and since his father is not available, OJ needs to be present to fulfill the contract. He appears reluctant to move forward with it. He's waiting for his sister, it seems. And when she comes up, she's pretty much the opposite of OJ. OJ has been very stiff and very not
Very
comfortable.
quiet.
But to be fair, he's a black man in a room full of white people.
And he has experienced some first-hand trauma as well. So, watching his father die. But it is interesting that indeed Emerald, which is OJ's sister, is essentially the opposite. He's introverted, she's extroverted and really talkative. And
Yeah.
yeah.
He gives this whole presentation about how the family has been, how they're the descendants of essentially the first jockey that was portrayed in the movie, the first stuntman, and the first horse tamer, the first
movie,
actor.
actually.
So yeah,
the first moving picture.
they apparently take this very seriously, and unlike the producers of whatever they're shooting, because they're just pestering OJ with all these questions, and the man can't stress the importance of horse safety to the people around him, that they eventually end up scaring the horse, and it kicks someone or something, effectively ending the contract between the studio and OJ's farm, ranch, whatever you want to call it.
So then he basically has to go. He and his sister, they have to go to a new business. They go to this place called Jupiter's Claim, and they talk to a character that is very important, Ricky. And basically, OJ's trying to, gather some.
Yeah, he's trying to sell. He's trying to sell Lucky, the horse that was essentially just fired, so he can make some money to keep the rest of the farm afloat, as he's probably lost a lot of contracts since his father's death.
Yes, and while this is happening, Emerald, who he very reluctantly let
Inside,
she starts to ask questions about Ricky, and she recognizes him from somewhere, and Ricky starts to go on this tangent about this TV show that he was on, because he was a child actor famous for
a star child, in fact. Yeah,
exactly. And he was famous for another movie,
Kid Sheriff.
And he,
as Emerald says, he was the little Asian kid in Kid Sheriff.
Yes, and he starts to talk about this this show that he was on that was short-lived in 1996.
Was in 1998?
Well, started in 1996, it probably ended in 1998, yes.
Okay, my bad.
And it was a show about this family with a sitcom with this monkey, and he talks about this event that happened in essentially probably the last episode that they recorded because of what happened, in which the chimp, it was his birthday, because the episode was called Gordy's Birthday, and they were giving the chimp presents, and one of the presents was a series of balloons. One of the balloon pops, and this makes the chimp go ape and starts on a rampage.
It makes the chimp go bananas.
Makes the chimp go bananas, yeah. And he starts killing people on stage, and just violence.
Doing what chimps do, people's faces off, tearing off their completely.
What they do, I mean,
in the wild,
on specific occasions, usually against rival tribes. Yes, there have been some
chimps. No,
on that. Chimps are they're not that different from us. They do have also violence and killing. But this chimpanzee, when he calms down, he sees the kid, Ricky, and he's behind. He's hiding. He's obviously terrified. He's hiding under this uh, under this table, and the chimpanzee. Oh, and by the way, he notices that there is this shoe of the girl is standing upright, just in the middle of the floor, just perfectly balanced on his hand, which is this is just a detail that is never really explained. It's just kind of there. I don't.
No,
I never.
once again, I feel like this is the miracle that I was talking about earlier. It is the sort of thing that, to us, if you were looking at from the outside, if you had no skin in the game, as Emerald would put it, you would be like, wow, how often does that happen? But the thing is, you can't really appreciate the beauty of the moment because of everything that's happening around it. Or at least the characters would feel remorseful.
I guess I'm still processing that shoe thing. I don't understand it. But your explanation does sound fair enough to me. All in all, the chimp goes to because they were known for doing the first exploding fist bump on TV.
Yes, exactly.
Something like that.
He
And
points to a painting where they're doing the fist bump, and apparently
Yeah.
they're the ones that invented it. Yeah.
Yes, and so the chimp goes and tries to fist bump Ricky, and before he can do that, he is shot by the police, we presume. In truth, this scene is important because it defines the entire character of Ricky. From this point on, he is a changed man, and he believes he's special.
Because of this miracle,
Mhm.
he believes that he's been chosen by God to be able to tame these creatures and to whisper into them and to command sort of presence and awe in them.
Because he really was the only one that was spared by the chimp. Everybody else was hurt or killed. So yeah, he really does have reasons to believe that he's different from the rest.
And so this is all a flashback, okay, triggered by a conversation that he's been having with Emerald about an SNL sketch that aired regarding the incident, which was apparently hilarious. Back on their house, because now Emerald is staying there, they're reminiscing about how Emerald was supposed to train her horse, Jean Jacket, on her birthday, but then some contract came up and the horse needed to be trained for a movie. Apparently, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson required this horse specifically for the Scorpion King. They just, talk about their dad and how he was an important figure and how he changed the industry. But this is when Emerald notices that one of the horses is outside. Ghost, right? If I'm not mistaken. He's out in the arena. And while OJ goes out to get the horse inside, Emerald decides to make herself home and spin some records.
Blasting him, yeah.
Yeah, they live in the valley, in the middle of the California desert.
Yeah.
You have no neighbors for miles.
For a while.
So, why not?
Yeah, what's interesting is that this music, perhaps the horse, who knows, it attracts something. And
we can't clearly see what it was. It's very dark.
It's dark as hell. Almost as dark as my soul, man.
The last thing he does here is that he hears a rehearsal over on Jupiter's claim about how Jupiter, apparently, Ricky, has been chosen. His family has been chosen by someone, and that they're going to witness a spectacle, and the sound tunes down, the lights go out, and the same thing happens over at Emerald's house, Emerald and OJ's house. the records start slowing down, the lights go out, his little quad car loses power. Everything is very creepy and unexplained.
Mm-hmm.
They're clearly startled, and so when he comes back, Emerald is also somewhat startled because she doesn't really understand what happened. But OJ is asking her if she knows what a bad miracle is. This is when he tells her how their dad died,
Their
and
theory, which is that a prop plane basically dropped those things, and that's what killed their dad. And
which makes sense.
But OJ doesn't really believe it because he didn't hear no plane.
So yeah, again, he asks her what this bad miracle is, and can't explain his father's death, and he can't explain what he saw, most importantly. So this is when they decide that the next day they're going to buy some security equipment that doesn't really require electricity, or that at least has some sort of backup power.
And it's interesting because, yeah, so it's been established that whatever this thing is, it seems to turn off all electric things nearby to it.
Aren't you glad we did not upgrade from paraffin?
I mean, we don't really have a choice considering that we do, here at the Grymm Mansion, we talk to a lot of spirits, and spirits really do not enjoy electricity.
It's more like we don't enjoy the sort of constant interruption to our lights or to our connection to whatever.
Also true. Yes.
Honestly, I would much rather prefer to watch our movies in our old crystal balls than to in a big box TV.
Or in a projector or something like that. You know, those manual ones, you have to crank them
projector. Up. That would be fun.
That would be nice. Yeah. Instead of us having to do so many things and have to create our own version of Netflix so that we can watch these movies. I mean, is this one on Netflix? I don't know.
We'll make our own Netflix with blackjack and hookers.
What would it be called?
It would be called Grimflix, obviously.
Grimflix.
Yeah, obviously.
I was thinking about Killflix.
Stabflix?
Because we have Netflix and Kill, right? You do that more than I do. You're the Netflix and Kill guy. I don't really,
Yeah, I guess I am. Guilty as charged.
Yeah, I have to get used to him bringing home some succubi once in a while.
Well, to be fair, you do not complain when the guests are human and you get to use their parts, do you?
Yeah, I don't complain. It is nice. It is nice to get some delivery for once.
If it wasn't established up to those points that this was a Jordan Peele movie as well, this is when. No, sorry. I was gonna say something about how Emerald is queer, or.
It's been established already, I think.
She's hitting on women, and she's clearly attracted to women. She says that she is laying some of her psychiatrists or psychologists from time to time. She hits on a woman in the shop, and she's all around a great gal, I guess. So they meet this character, Angel, who sees them buying all of this equipment, all of these cameras, and asks, obviously, what the hell they're up to. And the conversation eventually leads up to a point where he jokingly says that they live in a UFO hotspot. Emerald just freezes and nobody believes those.
Yeah.
There's this awkward silence between them.
It's interesting because all of them believe it. All of the three characters are present.
Yeah, they all clearly believe in these weird ass theories.
Because it's going to be established later, but this guy, Angel, is an absolute fanatic. He is like conspiracy theories all the way, History Channel. It's Ancient Aliens. This dude is just, man. This is the kind of dude you have to worry about when you try to go out and conduct your plans, because these are the guys that get you on camera.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so when he's setting up the cameras, we have this interesting scene where OJ is asking for him to make the camera look a little bit more up, and that's when OJ when Angel realizes, oh, they're pointing these cameras to the sky. What are they trying to catch? And then he realizes, oh, okay, so you know UFOs, and he just, this is where he starts unloading all of his theories. This, which by the way is foreshadowing for a red herring that shows up later. Something he says about the little people with the big eyes.
Yeah.
I think is it the next scene? I'm not sure.
Little gray people with the big eyes. No, not yet. I just wanted to mention that Angel was clearly having a very bad day. The first thing he does as soon as he opens those van doors is scream into the void next to two people that he just met.
Yes, he is having a problem with his. He's not over his breakup, because I mean, when you do commit to somebody, imagine committing to somebody. Yeah, when things go bad, they go bad, and he's feeling it, and he just starts talking about his ex, and they don't really care. I mean, I wouldn't care either. So
yeah, you know what comes easy goes easy, my friend.
That is true.
What you got to learn.
Indeed.
But it is to note that because of this event, he is clearly someone who is in desperate need of human contact. And he clearly doesn't like the people he's working with. He's bored to death at the shop, at the electronic shop where he works. And he just saw this opportunity to leave with two exciting people, and he's taking it. You know, he's grabbing, he's biting at that arm, and he's not letting go.
And when he realizes that they're looking for UFOs, then that's when that's when he seals the deal. He's not letting these people go. He's gonna keep spying on them.
Yeah, he offers.
Even if that's illegal.
Essentially, sorry, even if that's illegal. He essentially offers to monitor the feed remotely, but what he's exactly doing is letting us know that he's going to do it.
Yeah. Nobody's stopping him.
As they're leaving Angel at the entrance of the ranch, Emerald comes back, and she apparently brought over a decoy horse.
A horse prop, yes.
Yeah, one that she saw over at Jupiter's Claim the first time that, from the voyage, from the trip that she just did. And she essentially is going to set up this horse as a decoy. And when they are putting it down,
in the middle of setting it up, Ricky appears on his Jeep, and he gets out and he asks, "Hey, where'd you get that horse?" And she
asks first, "Where'd you get yours?"
I think it goes like this.
He asks, "What's that?"
Because he also invites them. I think he
comes over to invite them. Yes, that's what he does.
Yeah, it's an incredibly weird, incredibly awkward conversation because he's basically inviting them, and then he
wants to come in.
Yeah,
she says, "Stay right there. Like, stay. Yeah. You can stay over there." And what are you doing? We're setting up a horse for horse training. It's a decoy horse for horse training. Mm-hmm. And he says, "I got some of those."
"Where'd you get yours?" And she asks, "Where'd you get yours?"
She essentially cuts him over and says, "Where'd you get yours?"
Yeah. First. And he's like, I don't know. Ask my wife.
She essentially just dodged the bullet there.
And then he goes to invite them, and then the flyer flies off of his hand. It's a really funny scene.
It's an awkward but hilarious scene.
Yeah, because basically you understand that they stole his horse, but maybe he got his horses from somewhere that also they're both, they're both not doing things very
clearly. Yeah, they're not being very open about what they're doing.
Yeah, it's interesting. They both have things to hide, and they both kind of trying to avoid speaking too much, basically.
Yeah. At this moment, we still don't see the flyer, but he does mention that it's a new show, so we can assume that it's whatever he was rehearsing the previous night.
And I believe this is the next scene is when we finally get that scene where I think it's during the night. We have a series of fake outs. Let me just say, like, the amount of jump scares, most of the jump scares in this movie are fake outs. Practically all of them. It's yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm still not sure if this is really a horror movie, but oh well. We get the scene.
The fact that they're fake outs doesn't really
doesn't
matter, you know. The fact that it's a jump scare is just used to break tension,
but it's
which is something that's necessary.
I guess, but it does. I mean, it does. I don't.
Did you think that? Did you think that there were too much? That the movie had too many jump scares?
Yes, I do think that. I don't mind jump scares of this sort if they are not fake outs, because a fake out it feels like I'm being robbed of a good scare, you know.
But do you? Okay, just because they're called jump scares doesn't mean that they actually should scare you.
That's true. What I'm saying is, it's basically the movie's teasing me, you know, and not delivering on the things that it's teasing on. Because essentially, what happens in the scene is we see OJ in the ranch. The lights were turned on for some reason, and he comes to turn them off again. And when he's walking back, the lights get turned on again by something, and he turns around and he sees the silhouette of something small.
What appears to be an out of proportion chimp.
Yeah, some creature like that. And this figure, a new one pops up. So two of them start walking towards him, and he starts walking back, and he's like, you know, he name drops the movie again. Nope. And he starts filming, and then this third one shows up behind him or next to him. He punches him. He falls. The creature falls, and when it falls, we hear an ouch of a child, and it's revealed that these were the kids of Ricky that were pranking OJ as revenge for them having stolen the horse prop. And you know what? The first time I watched this, I was excited to see. Ooh, we're gonna get some like creatures up in here, and no, it's just a fake out. There's no gray aliens. There's no chimp race or whatever. It's just
I do
kids.
find it again extremely ironic that he picked chimps.
They're not chimps. They're just chimp-like, but they're aliens.
That is what I mean. They are supposed to be aliens. We'll get to it later.
Yeah.
Let's move on then.
I think the next scene is when because of this, while this is happening,
the kids let out one of the horses, essentially.
Yeah, and this is when Emerald is looking at the camera, and there's another fake out jump scare with a praying mantis that shows up right up to the camera, like just right in front of the camera and covering it essentially. And this is when she receives a call from
Angel,
and he says, "There's a bug on your camera." And she's like, "I know." And then he says, "By the way, camera 2 is down." Camera 2 is down means
he's essentially panicking when he says this. It's not, by the way. He's like, camera B is down. Camera B is down.
Yeah. No. He's scared. He's clearly scared.
It's happening. He knows what's going on.
Yeah. And and basically this is when they try to get a look of the creature, but they can't because there's a bug on the camera. And I think OJ's still out there, still on the ranch.
Yes, OJ is trying to get to the horse.
Yes.
When he does get to his real horse, there's a dust devil forming in front of him. This very tall column of sand, essentially where the decoy horse was supposed to be. At the same time when this is happening, I guess, is when Emerald is trying to go up to the roof and take the bug off the camera with some candy she has in her pocket, I think, is when she has this great vantage point to what is happening, and she essentially sees a cloud stopped above her brother.
In another situation, you know, we would joke about how that part of the United States is infamous for the amount of tornadoes that it forms. But this is no tornado, because what we look and we see this cloud, this shape in the sky, and this is where the air is getting sucked towards that thing. And
It
yeah, and
has. Sorry,
go ahead.
continue.
And she sees that, and OJ sees that because he's closer, and she tries to basically get OJ to get away, to run away from that.
She realizes it's the cloud. She screams at OJ to get out of there. He does whatever he can do. You know, he gets up on the horse. He goes up to the stables, and when this thing is catching up to him, he dismounts the horse in the middle of the dust, lets the horse run around a few laps, and this thing just essentially sucks the horse up and flies off into the distance without making a sound.
Yeah.
Disappears over a hill.
I think you really see the silhouette of this thing
Mm-hmm.
flying up to the sky and covering up the moon. This actually happens for a while. Just flies around, covers the moon, then uncovers, then becomes a cloud. This is when Emerald is like,
Is panicking.
Yeah, we have to get out of here. Like I've never seen something like this. Like, yeah, but
And OJ says
Mhm.
something that is also, again, I think that's the word of, if we had a word of the day, it would be foreshadow. He says, I can't go. I got mouths to feed. And so he essentially convinces Emerald to stay with him. And she has this idea of calling the cameraman
oh yes,
of the contract that they had at that previous thing that went terribly wrong. Apparently, Antler's host,
my favorite character, Antler's host.
Holst, yeah.
This guy is just like,
He's a legendary filmmaker and a guy who takes absolutely no from no one or anything, clearly.
this is somebody who has been in the game for a long time, and he's really obsessed with filmmaking.
Emerald calls essentially saying that she wants the impossible shot. And
That's impossible.
I guess that, yeah, Antlers just, dismisses her, saying that that's impossible and whatever she's chasing is something that,
A dream you'll never wake up from, man.
yeah.
I
What
love
a
that
beautiful life.
character. That's so good. Oh man.
Yeah. We'll talk more about him in a bit.
Mhm. Yeah.
So this is in the morning after they're done talking with Antlers, who just hangs up. Angel shows up in the van from work, saying that he has noticed in his feed that there is a cloud in the distance that will not move. And when
Yes.
mentioned, OJ realizes that the cloud indeed has been there for a very long time. He remarks that it is likely that he's been looking at the same cloud for the past 6 months, so ever since his dad died.
You will never, after this scene, you will never look at the sky the same way.
Yeah, essentially they show up a very sped up footage of the sky, and the sky is covered in clouds, like very tall clouds. So the one's very, very high. And there's this one cloud which is clearly much lower, closer to the ground, and is not moving. If I was a guy that went outside a lot, I would probably be scared for my life.
If we were out during the day and we looked at clouds, then yeah. I hear that mortals usually they distinguish funny shapes from them, something like that, when they're like lying in the grass. I don't understand that. Oh well.
Now imagine realizing that there's a cloud that not only is stopped, the more you look at it, the closer it gets.
And then when you realize you are getting sucked by the cloud.
And not in the good way. So this is when we cut to the infamous scene of that day. At first, we're looking at the scene through the cinematographer's point of view, I guess, because there's even the lines to center everything perfectly, and it seems like very raw footage. Regardless, everything is very normal at first until the gift that you mentioned earlier is opened, the one with the balloons. And then when it pops, our perspective shifts for a bit and we are entering the set from the side. And before we can see anything that's happening, the camera cuts again and we are next to a young Ricky who can't do anything but watch this carnage unfold. He sees his co-stars being slaughtered one by one. There's a lot
One
of
gets their face
blood.
ripped.
Yeah, all we see really is like fists pounding and screams and the
Yeah,
shoe.
we see first person perspective of this of this kid, young Ricky. And once again, it's that scene of the fist bump, which I think I f***ed up because I think this is when it shows up, not before. This is the first
No,
time we
but
actually see.
there is the poster.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
shows
there
the
is.
poster,
Yeah,
and we see finally the
Mhm.
exploding fist bump happening as Gordy is approaching after he's
Yes,
calmed down, I guess.
and this yeah, after we see Ricky and Gordy almost fist bumping and Gordy being shot down, this then cuts to present day Ricky as he's rehearsing one last time for his big show of the day,
The grand premiere.
the grand premiere. Yeah, this is important because we understand that this character is made by the scene. This character, his entire idea of who he is and what he's capable of comes from this event, this traumatic, very traumatic event that he keeps having flashbacks of, but nonetheless defines him.
We all cope in different ways. And I guess his way of coping was to have delusions of grandeur.
Mm-hmm. And so this is the big day in the premiere when he has gathered up not not that many people, but a crowd, a moderate crowd of people.
Let's say around 40 people. I think there were about 40 people in the crowd.
Around 40 people, and he goes up to the not the stage but the arena or the center, and he begins his monologue, talking about how he and his family have witnessed for the past 6 months something, I don't know what the words are, but something truly spectacular, something like that. And he plans to today show the world this thing that he has discovered and he believes he can tame or he can control in some form. And we see the cloud behind him.
As his kids are preparing to put up a little show with what he envisions the race of, what do you call them, the Watchers?
The Watcher, yes. Oh yeah, he believes, exactly. He believes that
He's been chosen, even though they never got out of their spaceship. He believes that this thing is a vessel for this alien race that is trying to communicate with him.
Yeah, this race of the Watchers. It just shows kind of the grandiose, the mentality of this character. He has assumed so many things from so little information. He has envisioned this race of Watchers, and has assumed their intentions. It believes truly that he has been kind of picked by them to serve as, I guess, a spokesperson. I don't know.
Even what they look like, you know?
Exactly.
He's selling merchandise.
He's assumed so many things about this, and
He's selling merchandise of
basically
what they look like.
And soon he realizes that all of his assumptions are basically all wrong.
As he unveils Lucky, our unlucky horse, and he's trying to set up a performance for his kids to do, dressed up as what he envisioned the creatures look like, the cloud comes over much sooner than expected. At the same time this is happening, OJ finally finds the flyer and realizes what Ricky's about to do, that he's sacrificing Lucky to this thing, and decides to drive up to Jupiter's Claim to try and save Lucky. Ricky then makes all the preparations to get, these visitors entreated. And that's when everyone starts panicking because the clouds, everyone's noticed the cloud is getting much, much closer.
And suddenly,
There's screams everywhere.
and the you
And
know the all of the electronic stuff, like all the music, everything
stops
just
working.
stops working, and suddenly we see the wind starts to get coily, and they all get sucked in.
Everyone just gets raptured.
Oh yes.
We see the inside of this thing, and it sort of reminded me of almost War of the Worlds kind of thing.
Something like that, yes. It's interesting how this creature is so large and it looks so powerful, but at the same time so fragile because we see the insides. It's made out of like this almost
Silky texture.
cloth material. Yeah, it's something really light because, well, it makes sense. It's a flying creature. But yeah, it's
What was the word you used?
Sublime.
Yeah, that's
Sublime.
what it felt like.
Yeah. We're gonna see something a lot more sublime.
Fair enough.
Next, but yeah, the creature absolutely swallows the 40 or so people that were in the audience, along with Ricky, his wife, his first love, and his kids.
Oh, she was in the audience. Poor thing actually survived the encounter with the chimp.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Rest in pieces.
Yeah, and they only have Ricky to blame because he orchestrated this whole thing. OJ arrives too late to save anybody. But the horse is still there, ironically. I guess
luckily, inside of the cage.
Lucky is a pretty appropriate name for this horse, indeed. And he tries to get the horse to get out of the cage, but the creature is still out there and is still hungry and still tries to eat up the horse, but can't because the horse is in the cage. And basically it kind of throws, because this thing makes a lot of wind.
It is basically big. Okay. Yeah. I don't feel like we've conveyed how big it is, okay?
Yeah. It's the size of a stadium essentially.
Yeah, pretty much. I guess you could.
It's as big as the entire arena they're in, essentially.
Yeah, which is not as big as a stadium, because we're not when we're talking about American football. Like,
they said it was 2 buses wide in diameter.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it is pretty big.
Yeah, and yeah, OJ is thrown around, but he survives.
He gets knocked out. He wakes up later that night.
And the horse survives as well. And now it's raining.
He gets the horse inside of the van and drives up to
his house,
while calling Emerald to, well, essentially let them know that this is no saucer, that this is a creature, that he thinks that this is a creature, because it just ate 40 people. This is happening, I guess. Angel is leaving the house and his van stops. He realizes what's happening, runs back to the house with Emerald, grabs a knife and just says, "We're in danger." I don't know why you'd grab a knife, but okay.
Because he doesn't know what's happening, so
yeah, I guess.
He just wants to defend himself from whatever, but this is not something you can solve with a knife.
They just start hearing screams around them.
From above.
Angel is extremely scared.
Yeah, and they realize that this creature is above their house. Things start falling, and blood starts dripping down the windows and the rooftops, and is just screaming. The screaming of all of these people that are inside of this creature, of the bellies or the bowels or whatever, the stomach, I don't know, of this creature. Just some are still alive, and then suddenly there's a contraction or whatever, and the screaming stops.
That's when things start falling down. That's when the metal clanking again, and there's blood pouring all over the windows and the rooftop. It looks like a perfect afternoon.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting vista. And this is when OJ arrives. And he arrives and he sees that thing, the scene, and he's like, name drops the movie again. Nope. This creature basically just kind of pissed. I don't know. Just, or maybe threw up. Maybe throw up is a more appropriate term.
It puked.
Whatever. I mean, it's not even like a thing that's any familiar to. It's completely alien. So we don't know what happened.
But it would be probably the equivalent of throwing up.
Yeah, basically throws up all over his house, and
Or
then
taking a shit, I'm sure.
yeah, we don't know, and then moves over, like stays near the van where OJ is for a little bit, covering up the rain, and then the horse finally falls on the windshield of the van. Once again, another jump scare.
On the passenger side.
Luckily on the passenger side, yeah. And then the thing disappears into the clouds, but it's still out there. So
He
OJ
just decides to
basically,
take a nap in right there in the van.
and then he wakes up and he tries to get the Emerald and an Angel out of the house, but the creature's still out there, and he knows that. He doesn't want to risk it, so he opens up the vents. He puts the volume on the radio on the maximum so that they know that he's there, I guess. And he opens the door of the van, and they get out of the house. And as they're getting out of the house, because I guess, this creature, it hears. It must have some kind of hearing sense. Maybe it senses the vibrations in the air because it's so light. Who knows? The creature comes, but this is when OJ has an epiphany, and he remembers the way that the horse reacted in one of the first scenes when they're doing the casting and doing the
Yeah, they're getting the horse prepared for the
contract
and one of the first scenes. Yeah.
Yeah, and he remembers how the horse reacted to looking into his own eyes in the reflection of the sphere.
Perceived as a threat, essentially.
Yeah, and he has an idea, and he looks down. Instead of looking directly at the creature, he looks down to the ground. And the creature passes over him and does nothing. And that's when he realizes this creature is attracted to eyes, to someone looking at it.
I wouldn't say attracted to eyes. So the creature is...
The creature...
I don't want to use the word like that. I would say the creature is triggered by people looking into it. It perceives it as a threat. And
is it as a threat? Because the creature clearly also
or maybe it recognizes you as food.
I don't know, because those 40 people that the creature ate, they were all looking into the creature, so who knows.
It is an interesting interpretation. So you feel like the more you look at it, like the more you draw its attention?
I guess that's it, yeah. The creature knows you're there because you're looking at it. That's how I see it. Maybe
it would make sense because it doesn't make sense.
In true Jordan Peele fashion.
In true Alien fashion. The creature is, for all our knowledges, is alien. You could compare it to... I want to make the comparison to it later, so...
Yeah. And so, yeah, they all get in the van safely, and they drive away. And they go to wherever the house of Angel is, and they stay there. Because they don't want to have anything to do with that creature.
That is until they receive a call from Antler's host, who apparently heard on the news about 40 people missing in Aqua Dulce. And he decides to come and help them. Mm-hmm. They meet and devise this plan.
This elaborate ruse to catch the creature and to take footage of it, essentially. Yeah. And hopefully kill it.
Yeah, without... the plan is just to get footage. But without killing any more horses, they will use electricity. Holst has this camera that he built himself that is analog, that he needs to keep pumping at all times in order to keep rolling. Mm. Interestingly enough, they dubbed the creature Jean Jacket. So that's what we'll call it from now on.
Yeah.
In honor of Emerald's original horse that she didn't get to train. And when everything is set, they set up this elaborate grid of floaty people. What they call them? I don't know. Those things, they look like something you would probably see on the side of an auto dealership trying to attract customers. That just dance. They have a fan underneath and just dance. They set up a grid of them over on the valley, on their plot of land, in order to know where Jean Jacket is at all times.
Pretty smart, actually.
Right? I think so too. They have vantage points, they have multiple cameras rolling, and most importantly, they have Holst's camera rolling.
Yes.
Suddenly, there is someone in the bike
Oh,
that
God.
shows up to try and film this thing, trying to talk to some people and try to get the scoop on Jupiter's claim. Emerald deduces that he's TMZ
Yeah.
and tries to dissuade him from going down the road. But this man can't be dissuaded. He's going to get this footage no matter what, and quite literally because the dancing men stop and he since he has no idea what they're about, he drives into Jean Jacket's area of effect, and his electrical bike just stops on his way and he's catapulted forward. He breaks a leg, probably breaks both of his arms, multiple ribs. He's a mess. He's a complete mess.
But all he cares about is the footage.
Yeah, exactly. OJ rushes to help him, and he's like, "No, I need to get this footage. Please, just where's your phone? Just why are you not filming this? Like, what's happening?" And he's just trying to help this man. He's asking him. He has this helmet on, which is completely mirrored, shielded with everything, and is just reflecting. And he's looking at the clown, and again, I guess I'm convinced because Jean Jacket does come for him.
Yeah.
OJ is forced to leave this man behind as he puts his hood up with fake eyes on the back, like he's the opposite of a tiger, where you'd put a mask so that the tiger wouldn't come for you. This guy decides to put up fake eyes so that the creature comes to him. So while he's being chased, the Emerald notices this. All the cameras are focused on him. He throws up a flag, very much like the one that the decoy horse had on him when Jean Jacket first ate one.
Mhm.
And seeing this, I guess it realizes that this is not something that I should eat and panics. And so it flips on its side, trying to avoid eating this. And this is when we get the beautiful shot of its underside.
You can even see kind of like gills, like the texture of the skin. It seems like it has like flaps or something. It's really interesting.
It just looks like a silky texture flapping in the wind.
Almost like the underside of those mushrooms that have like those like
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah. I'm not sure what they're called now, and I should know because I love mushrooms.
It's gills.
Oh, okay. She makes a run for it and circles around. And while this is happening, Antlers needs a new roll on his analog camera. After it's done reloading,
Yeah, they make that run. They get that shot. Like Antlers manages to get the shot of the creature going after OJ, but the creature then goes to
the creature circles around.
Yeah, so but the creature essentially does, is scared by that by
The flags.
that trick that OJ pulled up, and so the creature kind of goes back to the sky for a little bit, and it's in this moment when because they essentially got the footage, they saw it, they got it on film, and they're satisfied. Somebody who's not satisfied is Antlers.
That's what I was about to say then.
Yeah, he gets up and and Angel's like, "What are you doing?" And he just says, "We don't deserve the impossible." And he grabs like a handheld camera that he has, and he goes up to the hill, and he just looks at the sky, and he starts cranking the camera, just rolling, pointing at the sky, hoping to get finally his perfect shot, his money shot, his Oprah shot. And the creature comes, Jean Jacket comes for him and starts sucking. And Holst is filming. He's even screaming in the scene as he's cranking the camera while getting eaten by this creature. And just he sacrifices, because he doesn't have to do this. He literally does not need to do this. He's doing this just because he wants to get the shot of POV somebody getting consumed by this creature. And he gets the shot. And he dies while doing it.
He wants to become a legend.
And he did. And he did. I love this character so much.
I shed a tear.
It's the most badass scene it's my favorite scene in the entire movie, probably.
After eating all this junk food, Jean Jacket starts feeling sick. And what does Jean Jacket do? when it starts feeling sick, it reveals its true colors. Jean Jacket has been a biblical angel this entire time.
I would say more like a fashionista, but biblical angel might work too.
Because it just morphs into something that I cannot explain. It looks like what it went from looking like a flying saucer to what a cross between the sails of a Portuguese man of war and a haute couture dress would look like.
I would say it kind of looks like the clothes of my victims when they fight back too much. I have to them up, and they kind of look like that.
Do you need glasses?
Maybe. I mean, I don't. My eyes aren't.
You probably need new eyes.
Yeah.
So OJ tries to distract it because Emerald apparently rushed for the bike and can't get it to work. They have this exchange between them that they did back when the original Jean Jacket was being trained, and he's essentially letting her know that he's taking the bump. However, since he's on horse, the bike just makes too much noise, even though it's electrical. Apparently, makes too much noise, and it proves too distracting. And Jean Jacket ends up following Emerald up to Jupiter's Claim, where she sees this big balloon of Kid Sheriff, I guess, or Kid Jupe.
I think it was just yeah. It was just
it's the mascot for Jupiter's Claim, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a big balloon filled with helium that will fly up to the sky. She gets these ropes out and frees the balloon. And since it's a humanoid balloon and it has eyes, it attracts immediate attention from Jean Jacket.
Oh, we have to mention that before she does that, she enters Jupiter's Claim on her bike, and she does the Akira slide dramatically with the bike.
All right, that's true. There is an Akira reference in this movie.
Yeah, wouldn't expect that from Jordan Peele.
It just goes to show how eclectic the man is.
Indeed.
And so while Jean Jacket is consuming Jupe's balloon, she is taking photos from a well. There's this well in town where she has to crank the well, and the bottom of the well has a camera facing to the sky where people can look down. In this case, it was Jean Jacket consuming the balloon. And right after she's done, the balloon is just compressed so much that it pops. And I guess since Jean Jacket assumed her original saucer shape, it just proved so much to her, so she bursted and popped like a firework in the sky.
Nice reference.
What? While Emerald is just recovering from everything that happened, she overhears press over at the entrance of Jupiter's Claim. So she knows that people are here, and she can give her version of the accounts firsthand, and she's about to make history for herself. While her brother shows up from the mist at the sound of Western music, because just to give it a throwback.
In an iconic, dramatic man on a horse in the mist. Framed from typical Western movies. A lot of references in this movie, just where you wouldn't expect them.
And that is pretty much it. The last thing we see is a revealed Polaroid of Jean Jacket in their full sublime glory, consuming Jupe's balloon.
Yeah. It's interesting this movie keeps mentioning I'm still trying to figure out, because the symbology is kind of all over the place. It has a lot of symbols that are just kind of randomly distributed across the movie, like the shoe and the balloons and the monkey. It has a lot of things like that. From what I can understand, it has a lot of, the main idea is really about, it has something to do with the hubris of humans believing that they can control or that they can tame or understand nature, I guess, even when they don't understand it. It's something as alien as Jean Jacket is. It is very, this is mentioned. This is like repeated several times throughout the movie. There's the scene with the monkey. There's the scene with the first scene with the horse kicking somebody in the studio, and then with Jean Jacket. And then there's also, of course, which isn't that important for the movie, but there's always obviously that hint, of Jordan Peele kind of showing basically how racist America is to the first actor, first stuntman. Nobody knows his name. His family is not really famous. It's just there.
Oh, but they will be now.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's just a hint. Jordan Peele always has these hints. I mean, this is probably okay. Out of all the movies, this one's probably the least social least political, the one with the least social commentary, because it's more about humans.
I think it's there.
It's there, but
it's more subtle.
It's more subtle, and it's more about humans as a whole, and not so much about a group of people specifically. I also like how meta the movie is, how it's a movie about movies, about cinema.
Yes.
That's quite interesting. And of course, I love the character of Bent Lars Holst is just, I love that character. He sacrifices himself just to get the right shot. And I have nothing but respect for that guy.
True art demands sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't think that the artist should suffer for his art. Perhaps the canvas should. Regardless, it might be the one with where I think that the social commentary is more subtle, but I do think it's there. Again, Jordan Peele really insists on working with Black people, and there's a reason for that.
Of course,
the movie, as I said, I felt like that opening scene where OJ is in that room with all those producers. He's the one handling the animal, because I feel like that scene is commentary enough.
Yeah.
Being the Black person, he's the only one that is handling an animal, and while all the white people are being pampered, and the actress he's talking to, she's getting makeup, the directors are sitting on tall chairs, he's wearing gloves and boots and standing in a box of sand, just being peltered with requests and do this and that, and he's literally being asked to do things that can't happen at once, Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think it's there.
Yes, it's absolutely there, but it's just because with Us, for example, Us is very much when you just cannot remove the social commentary
and Get Out
as well. Like, those movies are very much tied to that. Basically, they're tied to racism. Like, you need that context of racism in America to understand those movies. With this one, I mean, you don't need that. I don't think it's obviously there because it's a Jordan Peele film, but it's not. Yeah. It's more about cinema. It's more about human nature and what we do when we're faced with something truly.
One more point, though, mm-hmm. that you mentioned, that the family, they're essentially unknowns, and you could see that as whitewashing history. Yeah. The person that's on the camera didn't matter, probably because he was Black. Since if he was a white actor, you would know his name. And that's I think that's where they're trying to get at.
Yeah.
And the character of Emerald being this outgoing character, she clearly by the end of the movie has the opportunity to make a name for herself right there. The cameras are rolling, and it's as if she was born for this moment.
Indeed. She even did the Akira slide and everything.
She lit up when she realized that the media were there, that a live mic was going to be in her face in a few moments. It was like kids in Yuletide.
Mm-hmm.
There is one thing that I want to mention about, I guess, inspiration that Jordan Peele had for the movie, and particularly for Jean Jacket.
Okay.
Was inspired a lot. Neon Genesis Evangelion, apparently. And this angel in particular, the 10th angel, it just drives the nail further that this is, or at least in my point of view, that this is a sort of a biblical angel, or what people would interpret as a biblical angel.
Yeah, because there's another thing, which is, I don't know if you know this, but there are, UFOs are not actually, they're actually much older than people think.
Yes.
So you see, for example, there are several UFOs depicted in
Renaissance art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and they are in clouds.
Yes, and there are several depictions of angels, and they always have these robes and all that, and with all the biblical stuff, the even I feel like the rapture is kind of probably there's something to do with that as well. The idea that of them being like pushed to the sky, and yeah, I think essentially the movie is trying to create this idea that all of these depictions are probably just misinterpretations of these creatures that maybe they've existed for a long time on Earth, or maybe not. Who knows? But I feel like the movie's making some parallels there. But in my opinion, like I like to think about it more of as an actual alien species that, for whatever reason, arrived on Earth from some gas giant, perhaps. It does have like the feel of maybe what I would think a creature from a gas giant living in a gas giant would look like.
Guess as a
Although,
scientist, yeah,
although that doesn't really explain how it feeds off of flesh, because you wouldn't have flesh in a gas giant. So I'm not sure how that would work. Or perhaps it just
perhaps that's why
adapted.
it's feeling so ill and
Yeah.
throwing up all the time.
Maybe it adapted. Maybe it arrived at Earth.
Because
at
it's
some
clearly
point.
there's a lot of things that can digest too.
Yeah. But it's interesting to think of the biology of this creature and how it digests, how does it mate? Does it mate? Is it immortal? We don't know.
Is
But
it the only one of its kind?
exactly, is it the only one? It's interesting to think about because this creature has a stealth tactic that is insane. Hiding yourself as a cloud, nobody, except, these, if you're directly looking at it for a long time, are you ever going to notice that that's there? And that's pretty freaky.
Exactly. After watching this movie, if you can go out during the light of day and you're not panicking by a cloud that doesn't move that you can see, give us a call. I feel like we were gonna hit it off pretty well.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that, like, first time watching this movie, it is really strange the cinematic choices that it makes, and sometimes it's kind of hard to take in the sense that it's hard to understand what's going on, and you feel like you're getting the rug pulled from under your feet a lot of times. So the first time watching is you're gonna have a lot of subversion of expectation in this movie. But the second time watching, I did enjoy it more. But yeah, because it took me a while to understand that the point of that monkey scene,
Chimp.
that chimp scene, because yeah, the first time I was because it is the first thing that is hinted at, the first thing that you get, the first information that you get in the movie, and typically the first information you're gonna get in a movie, your mind is gonna cling to it a lot more, and you're gonna try to figure out like how does this tie into the rest of the movie, and it doesn't really tie in that much. I mean, now I understand it's for the character of Ricky.
I think I mentioned this at the beginning when we started,
It's a
but it
setup.
is a sort of framing device. It's a setup for what's to come later. It is, although it ends. I don't know if you could qualify it as a framing device because it has a different ending for Ricky, but
I feel like it's really weird. It's a weird cinematic decision to make a scene. It feels like they thought of the scene. That's what it feels like. It feels like a lot of these scenes, they were just ideas that they were throwing out, or Jordan Peele was throwing out, or something like that. Like ideas that they kind of thought independently, and then they try to mix them into a movie. Because if you watch the monkey scene, and then you watch, for example, the scene where they're the run with Jean Jacket, they look like two different movies. Like you wouldn't be able to tell that they're the same movie. It feels like they were trying to do like a story within a story, I guess, like a tiny movie.
yeah.
And then they just expanded it into this.
And in my opinion, I think that worked perfectly. If they really did do what you say they did, it ended up being amazing because
it did work out, I guess.
Is there any loose end in this movie? Was there anything that was not picked up later on? Because I feel like everything is very well interconnected. The movie has presented you in a sort of, I'm not going to say a non-linear fashion, but there are some things which are omitted to us. at the beginning that we only get context for later on when it does matter, because you are supposed to think that this is a UFO, and yes, that these are maybe, as they mentioned, little gray men with big eyes, but it turns out that it is a creature, and in nature, it's no different from the chimp. It will kill you because it was triggered by a loud sound, or because you looked at it the wrong way.
Yeah, but yeah, the first time I watched it was kind of, I didn't really get that. So, yeah.
Again,
It's confusing. It's confusing.
I think that's the point.
Yeah,
Not to
it's
confuse you, but to keep you guessing. The movie
yeah,
hides the
absolutely.
fact that the creature is a creature. You start, by the way, not knowing what it is.
Mhm.
Then
You don't even know that it exists. First of all.
the marketing of the movie was very pushing you to believe that it was in fact aliens, like little green men.
Mhm.
And there's a whole, I guess, plot twist, you could call it, when it's revealed that it is a creature, it is sentient, it can change shape, and it is hungry.
It's a it's a plot twist. Yeah.
It can generate an electrical field, or it interrupts it can cause disturbances in electrical currents. So I guess it generates an electromagnetic field. Perhaps that's how it stays up. So that's how it stays floating.
Perhaps
You would
a
know
mix of perhaps it's
know
a
better than
mix
me.
of electrostatic radiation, allowing it to stay in afloat. But it also probably is a mix of that plus the aerodynamic shape and how light it is as well. So I wouldn't say for certain.
With nothing else to say at the moment about this movie, let us go to our usual evaluation. Nathan,
So
what would you rate this movie?
I would rate this movie 7 horses out of 10 balloons.
A fair rating.
And with that, the candles are out, the circles have been erased, and we will let silence reign again. The Grymm Mansion is closing its gates. Have a horrible night, and until we meet again.